You're listening to an African Elements top news story for April 15, 2025. Please visit our website at africanelements.org for more daily news. Okay, the user wants me to generate a plain text version of their article. Let me start by understanding their requirements. First, they specified to include only the content between the support block quote and the About the Author section, so I need to exclude both those sections. They also mentioned omitting parenthetical citations with sources and URLs. That means any in-text citations like Africa News, the Peninsula Qatar should be removed. Next, there are HTML visualizations within tags. I need to completely omit those blocks, which include the key figures in recent SA-US relations, the key focus areas, and the timeline sections. The user mentioned that all code within these tags should be left out, so I'll make sure to delete those parts. They want each sentence as a separate paragraph, so even if two sentences are part of the same original paragraph, I need to split them. However, looking at the example, perhaps they mean each original paragraph remains, but as separate sentences. Wait, the instruction says, make each sentence a separate paragraph. That means breaking each sentence into its own line. Let me check their sample input and desired output again. The sample input has multiple paragraphs. If the user wants each sentence as its own paragraph, that's how I should format it. So every period or equivalent ends a paragraph. But maybe they just want to preserve the original paragraphs, but in separate lines. The exact instruction: make each sentence a separate paragraph. So each sentence is a line, separated by line breaks. Also, delete all headings except the H1. So remove H2, H3, etc. The main title stays, but subheadings like New South Africa U.S. Envoy appointed amid tensions should be omitted. No special formatting, asterisks, or HTML. Plain text only, with line breaks between paragraphs. Let me go through the original content step by step. The first part after the block quote is the H2 heading New South Africa U.S. Envoy appointed amid tensions. Since headings except H1 should be deleted, I remove this. The next paragraphs under that heading are kept, but with citations removed. For example, original: South African President Ramaphosa has appointed Mcebisi Jonas as a special envoy to the United States. This move signals a significant effort to mend bridges between the two nations. Jonas, a well-respected figure, currently serves as the chairman of MTN Group. He previously held the position of Deputy Finance Minister. His primary task is clear: rebuild diplomatic, trade, and bilateral relationships. These ties have reportedly been strained since Donald Trump assumed the U.S. presidency. This becomes each sentence as a separate paragraph without the citation links. Next, there's an HTML block, key figures visualization, that I need to skip entirely. Then comes the H2 heading, Mcebisi Jonas appointment, a strategic move. Delete this. The following paragraphs again process by removing citations and splitting sentences into paragraphs. Omit the visualization that follows. Then the H2 Trump South Africa tensions persist. Delete. Process the paragraphs below, remove citations, split sentences. Omit the timeline HTML block. Then H2, SA-US relations, Jonas balances MTN role. Delete. Process the paragraphs, remove citations, split sentences. Finally, stop before the About the Author section. Also, check that there are no remaining links or URLs. Ensure all parenthetical citations like Africa News, the Peninsula Qatar are removed. Another point: the user wrote, omit all parenthetical citations with sources and URLs. So any inline citations with sources in parentheses should be deleted. For example, Africa News, the Peninsula Qatar. Those should be removed from the text. Let me test processing a sample paragraph. Original paragraph: South African President Ramaphosa has appointed Mcebisi Jonas as a special envoy to the United States. This move signals a significant effort to mend bridges between the two nations. Jonas, a well-respected figure, currently serves as the chairman of MTN Group. He previously held the position of Deputy Finance Minister. His primary task is clear: rebuild diplomatic, trade, and bilateral relationships. These ties have reportedly been strained since Donald Trump assumed the U.S. presidency. Africa News, the Peninsula Qatar. After processing, the citations in parentheses are removed. Also, since this is one paragraph in the original but containing multiple sentences, each sentence becomes its own paragraph. South African President Ramaphosa has appointed Mcebisi Jonas as a special envoy to the United States. This move signals a significant effort to mend bridges between the two nations. Jonas, a well-respected figure, currently serves as the chairman of MTN Group. He previously held the position of Deputy Finance Minister. His primary task is clear: rebuild diplomatic, trade, and bilateral relationships. These ties have reportedly been strained since Donald Trump assumed the U.S. presidency. The final sentence's parenthetical citation is deleted. Same approach applies to all other paragraphs. Also, note that the original block quote asking for support is already excluded as per the user's instruction. Ensure that all HTML code, like tags, are removed, leaving just the text. Additionally, the instruction says to delete all headings except the H1 heading, so the main title is kept, but all other headings, H2, H3, etc., are omitted. The original H1 is SA U.S. Envoy, Jonas tackles diplomatic trade tensions. That's the only heading to keep. Finally, the output should be plain text, no markdown, just line breaks between each sentence paragraph. So after processing, each sentence is a separate line. SA U.S. Envoy, Jonas tackles diplomatic trade tensions. South African President Ramaphosa has appointed Mcebisi Jonas as a special envoy to the United States. This move signals a significant effort to mend bridges between the two nations. Jonas, a well-respected figure, currently serves as the chairman of MTN Group. He previously held the position of Deputy Finance Minister. His primary task is clear: rebuild diplomatic, trade, and bilateral relationships. These ties have reportedly been strained since Donald Trump assumed the U.S. presidency. The appointment comes after a particularly tense period. Relations soured notably following the expulsion of South Africa's Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool in March 2025. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio ordered Rasool's removal. The reasons cited involved critical remarks the ambassador made about President Trump. Therefore, Jonas steps into a challenging environment, tasked with navigating complex diplomatic waters and restoring trust. Choosing Mcebisi Jonas seems strategic, tapping into his specific skills. His background in finance and investment is seen as crucial. South Africa hopes Jonas can effectively address trade barriers. Attracting more U.S. investment is also a key objective. This focus highlights the economic dimension of the strained relationship, aiming for tangible improvements beyond just diplomacy. The need for such expertise is underscored by existing economic pressures. The U.S. has previously imposed sanctions on South Africa. Washington has also voiced criticism regarding Pretoria's policies and international stances. These include concerns over land expropriation policies. South Africa's foreign alignments have also drawn scrutiny, notably its support for the International Court of Justice case against Israel. Consequently, Jonas faces a complex web of political and economic issues requiring careful navigation. Despite the envoy appointment, skepticism and challenges remain, particularly from the U.S. administration. President Trump has reportedly threatened to skip the upcoming G20 summit hosted by South Africa. His reason involves claims that the host venue is inappropriate. The basis for this claim stems from alleged racial tensions within the country. This stance adds another layer of complexity to Jonas's mission. Furthermore, the issue of land reform continues to be a point of friction. The U.S. has raised concerns, sometimes framed as allegations of land seizures targeting white farmers. South Africa consistently denies these claims. The government dismisses them as misinformation, emphasizing its approach aims to address historical inequities. Nevertheless, these differing narratives highlight the deep-seated misunderstandings and criticisms Jonas must confront. Mcebisi Jonas brings significant corporate experience to his new diplomatic role. He is the chairman of MTN Group, a major player in telecommunications across Africa and the Middle East. Founded in 1994 as Mcell, MTN is now Africa's largest mobile network operator. The company boasts impressive reach, serving millions of subscribers across numerous countries. Its history includes notable expansions and partnerships. Importantly, Jonas will continue his duties as MTN chairman while serving as special envoy. Sources indicate there is no reported conflict or impact on his corporate responsibilities. This dual role potentially offers unique advantages. His corporate connections and understanding of international business could prove valuable. Ultimately, Jonas represents a high-profile figure with deep roots in both South African governance and its powerful private sector, tasked with a crucial mission for SA-US relations. Copyright African Elements.